I can already imagine my comment section in this video. If you're an Eagles fan, you might even go as far as to say that Jalen Hurts is better than Russell Wilson. That's not my take, but I can even imagine myself getting that comment in this video. If you're a Seahawks fan, you'll probably say, no, Mike, stop speculating, because you were reporting this all off season long and it never ended up happening. But here I am, once again, giving you guys this update on Russell Wilson because, well, I feel like the information in this video is very plausible, and if you're a Seahawks fan, you should know what's going down behind the scenes. So before we get to this video, do me a favor and sack the like button for the YouTube algorithm. If you subscribe and turn on our notifications, you'll enter for a chance to win a pair of Apple AirPod Maxes. And honestly, in December, I think I'm gonna go full Mr. Beast mode and start giving out cash prizes. So make sure you're followed on Instagram and Twitter as well, because I think my first $500 giveaway will be on Instagram. Of course, make sure you check out our merch shop on microphone.org. And now that we get all that out of the way, it's time to make this week's picks for week 13 of the NFL. Of course, you guys know we're doing this via this video sponsor, Bounty Sports, which is by far the best platform and the easiest platform to enter these contests. I have about $7 in my account. I'm gonna go to NFL over here. I'm gonna enter this week's $1,000 NFL Week 13 pick'em. It's only a $4 entry fee, which is perfect because if you use my promo code in the description down below, then you'll get an automatic $5 deposit for free. So you can enter this contest for free as well. I'm feeling good about this week, man. All right, the Cincinnati Bengals carved up the Steelers last week, so I'm going to go with them as my first pick. Game 2, Lions versus Vikings. Okay, no, there's no way the Lions win against the Vikings. We got the Colts versus the Texans. I'm going with Indianapolis. We got the Cardinals versus the Bears. Nah, Arizona. Now we got the Jets and the Eagles. Man, I got to pick an upset at some point. Eagles are starting to get a little hot, but the Jets defense is starting to look a little bit better. I don't know. I got to go Eagles. There's no way the Jets upset the Eagles. We got the Bucks versus the Falcons. I got Tampa Bay. We got the Giants and the Dolphins. I got Miami. Now the Jaguars versus the Rams. Do you think the Rams are going to go 0-4 this week? That'd be hysterical, but I can't bring myself to pick the Jacksonville Jaguars over the Rams. Now we got to pick some upsets here, so I'm going to go with the Washington football team over the Las Vegas Raiders. We got the 49ers and the Seattle Seahawks. I think the Seahawks continue to melt down here. We got the Ravens and the Steelers. The Steelers, I haven't been looking good lately, man, so we're going to go with the Ravens. And of course, we got the Chiefs versus the Denver Broncos. I'm going to go with Kansas City. Let me know what you guys think about my picks, and let me know who you guys are picking this week. Make sure you use my promo code in the description down below so you can get yourself a $5 free deposit so you can enter this contest for free and have a chance of winning $1,000. And thank you to Bounty Sports for the sponsor. Mike Chuck 1212, what's going on, everybody? The source of this entire video is coming from our man Adam Schefter, one of the premier sources in the NFL. And I know what some people are going to say, Mike, he incorrectly reported that Aaron Rodgers was disgruntled with the Green Bay Packers. Now, I wanted to give you guys a little preface to this entire video. Just because Aaron Rodgers came back to the Packers after a tumultuous 4-month span with the Green Bay Packers doesn't mean Adam Schefter's reporting was incorrect. I mean, if it was incorrect, why would Aaron Rodgers give that entire press conference detailing what went down between GM Brian Gutekunst and himself in the beginning of the season?
Not necessarily wanting to be a lame duck quarterback, especially after an MVP season, which I think you can understand. The other part in February was wanting to be a part of conversations involving free agents, which has never happened in my career. As that progressed from that point, nothing really changed on that front. So we got into March and the conversation changed. As I felt like if you can't commit to me past 2021, and I'm not a part of recruiting process and free agency, if I'm not a part of the future, then instead of letting me be a lame duck quarterback, if you want to make a change and move forward, and go ahead and do it.
And eventually the Packers just got cold feet, and eventually Aaron Rodgers decided to ride it out. And even now you see Davante Adams and Aaron Rodgers making these last dance jokes on their Instagram, and I don't want to potentially cause controversy in a pretty successful season for the Green Bay Packers, but this is just my response to those that are going to question the validity of Adam Schefter. He is still one of the premier sources in the NFL. Now, about 2 weeks ago, I made a video on the Russell Wilson situation, and for those of you guys that haven't been keeping up to date with what's what's going on, Russell Wilson started off the season strong. As a matter of fact, throughout his first 4 games, the man literally had a completion percentage of about 72% and threw for 9 touchdowns and 0 interceptions. In week 1 against the Indianapolis Colts, the man had a 152 passer rating. In week 2, he had a 128 passer rating. In week 3, he had a 112 passer rating. And of course, in week 4, he had a 116 passer rating. However, ever since then, the Seattle Seahawks unfortunately have suffered 4 losses with Russell Wilson as the starter of the team. Now, the reason I made my previous video was Pete Carroll came out and said, hey, we need to run the ball a little bit more. And the interesting part of this is Russell Wilson and Pete Carroll got into a huge dispute this past offseason, literally over this exact same topic. Now, I know what a lot of people are going to say. The Seattle Seahawks were dealt a horrible hand. Russell Wilson got injured. But you have to bear in mind that Russell Wilson played in 8 games for the Seattle Seahawks this year. And in those 8 games, the Seattle Seahawks won 2 of them and lost 6 of them. Of course, Geno Smith would go 1-2 as the backup for the Seattle Seahawks, and now, as a result of all of this, they are currently at the very bottom of one of the most competitive divisions in the NFL, with a 3-8 record going up against the likes of the San Francisco 49ers, the LA Rams, and the Arizona Cardinals. So it's safe to say that at this point, there's absolutely no hope whatsoever for the Seattle Seahawks to make a playoff run. And you could point the blame finger at a lot of things. It could be the philosophy that Pete Carroll employs. He's trying to do a very old school attack, as cited in this Athletic article from Michael Sean Duggar, Mike Sando, and Jason Jenks, saying that Pete Carroll has built Hall of Fame credentials on what he sees as simple truths about how the game is played. Run the ball, avoid turnovers, explode in the passing game. It is not because we just want to knock our head against the wall. It is because the game is played well when you don't give the other team the football. The game is played well when you can convert and make first downs, and the game is played well when you can explode on offense. And believe it or not, this happens to work really freaking well if you happen to have an unstoppable defense. I mean, like the Legion of Boom. That's not to say that the Seattle Seahawks aren't one of the better defenses in the NFL, despite the amount of Jamal Adams memes you're going to consistently see on your favorite meme pages. The Seattle Seahawks, at the time that I'm making this video, are currently ranked 6th overall in the NFL in terms of defensive rating, beating the likes of the Baltimore Ravens, LA Rams, and the Carolina Panthers. Now, the thing that's interesting, and it's really important to note, is that Russell Wilson was frustrated with the Seattle Seahawks for the same reason why Aaron Rodgers was frustrated with the Green Bay Packers, which was also the same reason why Deshaun Watson was frustrated by the Houston Texans, and that's the fact that he wanted to say in personnel decisions, as he says on Dan Patrick's show over here.
You got to be involved, because at the end of the day, it's your legacy, it's your team's legacy, and at the end of the day, those guys you got to trust. I think for me, anytime you bring free agents in, other players, you want the best players, guys who love the game, guys you want to be a part of that. And as a player, you kind of know that. You get to be around Pro Bowls, you get to kind of see these guys, you get to be in the huddle. You kind of build that over time and get to see who can really play. As a player, you really know. So I think that relationship's really key. Especially being a veteran player, that dialogue is really important.
Now, let me tell you what started all of this. Tom Brady wasn't getting his say with the New England Patriots, and as a result, he decided to sign with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers promised Tom Brady that, hey, if you come to Tampa Bay, our horrible franchise that is literally only known for one Super Bowl win, where we happen to know what the other offense was running because we traded for their coach in the year prior, and they didn't bother changing the hand signals. We have an entire video on this if you guys want to go check it out. If you come to this historically bad franchise, you can do whatever the hell you want. And that's what ended up happening. Tom Brady went to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They allowed him to bring his buddy Rob Gronkowski out of retirement. Hey, you want to bring Antonio Brown with you? It doesn't matter how much controversy he's been mired in. We could bring in Antonio Brown as well, even though your head coach doesn't want him here. Leonard Fournette eventually joined, and they would go on and win a Super Bowl. And as a result, Russell Wilson kind of saw this and was a little upset. Now, the article also cites other things, and if you guys want to go to my last video, you could take a look at it, but probably the most important thing is Russell Wilson is really chasing an MVP award, and that's why he wants the Seattle Seahawks to, quote-unquote, allow him to cook. But the problem is, whenever the Seahawks allow Russell Wilson to cook, that doesn't necessarily translate to team success. Now, is it Russell Wilson's fault? That remains to be seen. The important thing here is the fact that Pete Carroll and Russell Wilson historically have not gone along in regards regards to this one issue, and I don't know what the situation is now. I warned 2 weeks ago that as they lose more games and if they potentially get knocked out of playoff contention, it could get worse. Now, here's something that you have to bear in mind, and this is where Adam Schefter comes in and where this rumor comes in. The Seattle Seahawks have all the complementary pieces. They have Tyler Lockett, they have DK Metcalf, they have an absolutely terrible offensive line, they have a surprisingly good defense. So there's something else that they should bear in mind, and it's the fact that this year's NFL draft doesn't really have any good QBs. I mean, if you take a look, there are players like Matt Corral, and I guess Sam Howell is everyone's favorite potential developmental boom or bust prospect, but apart from that, I know I forgot someone that all my subscribers are gonna get mad at me for forgetting him. Bear in mind, I haven't done my research yet to create mock drafts, so I'm not that familiar with that many prospects except for the likes of Aiden Hutchinson and Kayvon Thibodeau and Malik Willis, so please forgive me. All I know is the vague generalizations that are going on in regards to this year's NFL draft is it's a very weak NFL draft in regards to quarterback. Now, does that really mean much? Not really. They said the same thing about the 2017 NFL draft that featured the likes of Mitchell Trubisky, Patrick Mahomes, and Deshaun Watson, and that ended up being a pretty damn good quarterback draft sans Mitchell Trubisky. Now, when you couple that with the fact that Deshaun Watson has been involved in rumors with the Philadelphia Eagles, but the reason why he didn't go to the Eagles was because he was unwilling to waive his no-trade clause, then this gets a little bit more juicy because the Philadelphia Eagles have 3 first-round picks in this year's NFL draft. They do have an up-and-coming team that is actually doing a solid job progressing this year as opposed to last year, and they do have the assets to trade for Russell Wilson should Russell Wilson waive his no-trade clause. And this is what Adam Schefter has to say about the situation.
Jamie here is a big fan of trying to go out and get Russell Wilson when the season's over, and we saw him on primetime the other night and what this Seattle team is about. Is he on the downside of his career, or is this injury riddled, the finger, is that playing more into it, or how do you see his status right now?
Well, so something's not right there. I mean, anybody that watches them knows he's flailing right now. He's been struggling for the better part of a year, and I'm sure the finger absolutely is a part of it, but it can't explain everything that's going on, and maybe some of it has to do with the fact that Seattle just doesn't have a run game. And good luck to the quarterback that's trying to make do without a running game at all. So I think that's part of it. The finger's part of it. The vibe there, which basically people have been aware of, which surfaced during the offseason, is a part of it. And how do you break it down to figure out exactly what is causing him to play like a pedestrian at best quarterback right now?
Wow, this is music to my ears, Shefty.
Yeah, you got to get him to waive the no-trade clause to come to Philadelphia, though.
Well, I believe he'll waive the no.
$50 million gets people listening, right, Shefty?
Now, I don't know how many first-round picks it's going to take. I don't know if Pete Carroll's looking at Jalen Hurts and saying, yeah, you're pretty much Russell Wilson, and I get a couple first-round picks for taking you on, and you have a better contract than Russell Wilson? Yeah, let's bring him on board. Especially if it's a situation where Jalen Hurts will not talk back to Pete Carroll. But don't get it twisted, Jalen Hurts is not even close to the caliber of quarterback that Russell Wilson is. I'm going to make that very clear. He is taking a step forward this year. He's completing 60% of his passes this year. He's throwing more touchdowns than interceptions, and he might have a season where he rushes for 1,000 yards, which is absolutely insane to me. And I feel like if you want to put this rumor out there and rationalize this rumor, I'll tell you why it would make sense for the Seahawks to do this and why it wouldn't make sense for the Seahawks to do this. It doesn't make sense for the Seahawks to do this because it doesn't seem like Russell Wilson is at that point where he's frustrated enough, and until I see some more aggressive headlines that are more recent about things going on in Seattle, then I'm not going to really pay this much mind. This is more just a foreshadowing of things that I think that are about to come. Now, the reason why I do think this makes a lot of sense is if you are the Seattle Seahawks and you're Pete Carroll loves to run the ball and depend on his defense. Jalen Hurts is a run-first quarterback. He's more Lamar Jackson than Russell Wilson, in my opinion. No, I'm not saying he's the next coming of Lamar Jackson. I'm just saying in terms of play style. And that complements what you're trying to do if you're Pete Carroll, a little mesmerized over Deshaun Watson this past year, and I wouldn't be surprised if they would make an aggressive play like this. They do have the draft capital to make such a move happen, and Russell Wilson would apparently welcome the trade. Now, the odds of this happening, in my opinion, so far, based off of the information provided, I would give it like a 3 out of 10 or a 4 out of 10. But again, this video is more of a foreshadowing of things that I believe can come. So let me know in the comment section down below. If you're a Seattle Seahawks fan, is this something you would like to see? I really highly doubt it because Russell Wilson is one of your folk heroes. He led you to 2 Super Bowls. He won you a Super Bowl. So it would be kind of bad to see him go, but at the same time, the Seattle Seahawks have hit a wall for quite some time, and maybe shaking things up, getting a run for his quarterback, and a couple of draft picks could help them significantly moving forward. Aside from that, I'm your boy Mike, and I'm dropping our mic until our next upload.